Hello all, hope everyone's well and not going too stir crazy. I know I am, and hopefully in the not too distant future we can get back to doing something that we all love doing together, a bit of normality. So the extract that I'm going to do is The Milf by Julie Victoria Boyle, and it's an extract from a play called The Circle of Life, also written by Julie Victoria Boyle, and I'd just like to thank Julie for allowing me to use this excerpt tonight. Hope you enjoy. You used to turn heads, me. There was a time when I walked into a room that everybody noticed. I used to look around at all the other women grabbing hold of their men. Silly girls. Because if I'd have wanted their men, I'd have just walked up and taken them. Simply because I could. I never had to queue to get into a nightclub. The bouncers would wave me straight through. Free entry, of course. And the barman, he'd always have my drinks waiting for me. Pernod and black. As many as I wanted, as many as I could handle. No money ever exchanged hands, all free of course. Now there may have been some transactions that may or may not have taken place, but let's just say he was satisfied. The only thing I turn now are stomachs. It's fleeting, you see. At the time, you think it's going to last forever. I look at these young girls now. Young girls who, by definition of age, think that they're women. And I think, oh dear, you have got no idea. You see, growing old, well, that's a part of life. It's the circle of life, in fact. Now, growing up, that's optional. G-strings and stilettos till the day I die, and that's on the days that I decide to wear underwear. I went to a school reunion the other night. I was undecided right up until the last minute whether to go, until my son mentioned that his best mate Andy's dad Steve was going. Steve was always very kind with his Pernod and blacks, and I'd heard that he owned a string of nightclubs up and down the country. Oh, he used to make my body sing. With every pluck of his talented fingers, he played me like a harp. And he was divorced. And I'm a widow. My husband was killed in a road traffic accident. He was a Harley Davidson rider. We used to go everywhere on that bike. I really miss that Harley. Ironic thing was, he wasn't even on his bike when he was killed. No, his brother-in-law killed him. Not a brother-in-law I knew. Turns out my husband had two lives. Back to the school reunion. It took me ages to get ready. That bloody Sir Isaac Newton, he's got a lot to answer for. Gravity has certainly taken its toll. It took two bras just to hold these buggers up. Anyway, before I entered the room, I went into the bar and I ordered a double Pernod and black. And yes, I paid cash. Well, I didn't pay cash actually, it was on the card. I downed it in one, took a deep breath, and I opened that door and I entered that room and sashayed across the room with as much allure as I could muster. And there he was, Steve. I was just about to run up to him when I realised he wasn't on his own. Steve had clearly been shopping. He'd obviously brought himself back a holiday souvenir. There she was, all of 18 years, and wearing less clothes than a stripper. Anyway, I turned on my heels and I sashayed straight back out of that door I'd just entered. I waited outside for my son to give me a lift, but he said he couldn't make it because he was out with some girl, so he sent his friend Andy. I'd never really realised how handsome Andy was, and he said I was a Milf. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I googled it. Since then, I've seen Andy a few times. Turns out his Pernod and Blacks are just as good as his dad's.